Hi there, here's Shybike, and here are 3 things you're not going to be able to do with your carbon bikes. Now, I do like carbon, I do love this Felt B16, I've been riding it for hundreds of kilometers so far and it's been really great, but there are some limitations to those carbon bike users, and I'm going to mention 3 of those that we are being told on the manuals when we purchase the bike, and then 2 extra questions that I was asked regarding carbon bikes. So first one, bike stands. The manual of this Felt B16 says very clearly, never use bike stand like this one and never compress your carbon frame into the bike stand. So all carbon bike users have to know that even though carbon has like great stiffness, flexibility and lightweight and so on, it does not like to be compressed. It's not only the carbon fiber but also the resin between those fibers. So if you are having a bike stand like I do, the only thing I can do is to actually let the frame just hang on the bike stand, and I will just lock it just like that, using as much force as when I would be actually carrying my bike with my hand, and nothing more. There are some other types of bike stands where you pull off the front wheel and you mount your fork on the bike stand. You have some support for the BB, and then you can do like most of the things with your bike, but here it's just forbidden. So with this setup I'm able to clean my bike, to replace the saddle, to do some adjustments. But if I was to use some force, let's say replacing my bottom bracket, I would never do it on such setup, because when you are using some force here, there will be even more compression here, and I would be able to crack the frame. It's not that all carbon bikes frame are fragile. Some of those really are, but just good quality, really well made carbon frames don't like being compressed anyway. So that's the first thing. The second thing is actually very similar, and it's mounting your sports cameras to your frame. This one is broken, by the way. So if you are willing to see your cadence or to show your bodies how well your rear derailleur operates, you would be happy to assemble the camera here in the rear. But once more, I'm not talking here about the shape of those tubes, because that would be really difficult, but you don't want to be compressing those. It's okay to do it sometimes on like really oval frames, and if you have something better like GoPro mount here, so that the camera will be really stable. But then if you compress, the worst thing you can do for your frame is first compress it and then ride it and bend it, because when we are riding, especially here, the rear triangle is bending. It's made for compliance for us, and when those carbon fibers are working and are being compressed with a little force even, you can crack the frame. So that would be the second thing. This one, I haven't found these on the manuals on any frames, but this is pretty much linked to the bike stand compressing. So these are 2 things, and the third one is something that you don't want to be doing on your aluminum bike or steel bike anyway, but carbon frame will not forgive you if you overdo your bolts. So if you are bolting in your seat clamp and you use too much force here, like over 5 to 7 Newton meters, you are it's very likely that you will damage either the frame or the seat post. So there are some limitations here, because on the bike there are some places where you have to compress, like seat clamp has to compress the seat post, and the stem has to compress the steerer of the fork. This one is aluminum, so there is no problem here. But here you have to have a specific tool that will show you how much force you use, and I'm going to do tests of such tools as well. But here, for example, you're not able to use a lot of force. That's why with the bike comes a special paste. It looks like it's like pink, but it doesn't have to be pink. It looks like grease with a sand in it, and it enhances the friction between the seat post and the frame here inside. It really makes all the scratches on the seat post and on the frame, so you don't want to be just pulling it off and pulling in very often, because it does make a lot of scratches, but it allows you to use very little force here and the seat post will be okay. On my first ride, actually, when I just hit some pothole and I was sitting on the saddle, my seat post went down a little bit, so then I knew I have to use a little bit more force, just a little bit, and do it equally for both sides. So you just when you're screwing in, you have to do it like just one move here, and just bit by bit on both sides. So these are three things that are limitations of our super cool carbon frames. And now two extra questions. The first one, car, bike carrier or bike rack. If you were to use such type of bike rack, especially if you put your bike on the roof of the car and you have some arm here that opens up here and has to compress your frame here, it's depending on how wide this arm is. But if it's as short as this one and you compress it and you have to really use the force in order to really make the bike stable on the roof, don't do it. Most of the good quality bike racks for your car, especially when you carry the bike on the rear of your car, are just okay, because they just have to stabilize your top tube, and you also stabilize your wheels, and it's just okay. But just bear in mind that you don't want to be compressing your frame just anywhere. So yeah, of course you can use a bike rack on your car, but just be cautious on what type of the bike rack you are using. It has to be high quality and as long as possible, in my opinion. Okay, so if you have any suggestions on what kind of bike carrier for your car is good to use for carbon bikes, let us know in the comments section. And now we are going to talk about the last bonus question, which is training. And the last additional question: can we actually mount our carbon bike onto the turbo trainer frame and train it like on every other type of bike, like the aluminum or steel or titanium? Generally, yes. We should not be afraid of turbo trainers, but do we put some more stress on the frames when training indoor? Yes, when we are doing the intervals, especially when we are off the saddle, pushing lots of wattage on the pedals, and also using our handlebar to actually have more leverage for pedaling, then we are twisting our frame like hell, especially if you are doing it for the first time, or this is your new bike like this one for me. It's really frightening to see how the top tube can be twisted comparing to this lower area here, and also the chainstays work very, very hard. Why is it so? Because we are pushing the pedals like on normal ride, everyday ride, like outdoor riding, but we are not able to move our bike from side to side, and that means our rear triangle is just fastened here on the turbo trainer frame, and we are still moving the bottom bracket area and our head tube using our handlebars. So we are twisting the bike a lot. Now, carbon fiber is, generally speaking, very good for twisting. It is quite flexible, but still there is hundreds and thousands of frames that are cracking because carbon is working. So there is not so much problem with the aluminum alloy frames. The steel is just rocking, and titanium, but with carbon sometimes it is just problematic. Now, newer types of the turbo trainers just start allowing us to work with the bike from side to side as well, which is better for the frames, in my opinion. But pro athletes, pro riders like on Tour de France, they will be warming up on the turbo trainers. This type of turbo trainer, really basic ones. Pro triathletes will work through a whole winter on the turbo trainer. Was it the Paris-Roubaix winner who has been training on the turbo trainer for a whole winter? I think it was Tour de France or one of the classics. So we should not be afraid of turbo trainers. Now, would I be using this setup for super hard off the saddle intervals? I think not. I would probably want to save my frame a little bit, but most of the hard power intervals I'm doing are on the saddle anyways, and then I just see my upper area on the frame working more, but it's just okay, and we will be working through a whole winter on the turbo trainer. So these are my thoughts and experiences with carbon, not only with this one, but with especially with the mountain bikes I used to have. Now, let us know in the comment section, did you experience any problems with the carbon frames? How do you manage to transport your bicycle on the bike rack, on the car? And maybe how do you operate with the bike stand for the carbon bike? Or how do you mount your GoPro or any other sports camera on the frame? Thanks for watching and your likes and your support. I will see you soon. Bye bye.